let's talk some running backs here. Let's have some fun as we move into the second part of this podcast on a Tuesday. Does it feel like a Wednesday to you? Is it a Wednesday in your head?
I'm not going to lie to you. I don't even know what day it is. We're in Vegas. That typically tends to happen when you go to Vegas. I thought it was Sunday yesterday, but it wasn't. So it was Monday. So I'm a day off too.
Yeah, I've been saying all day it's Wednesday. It's a weird time, but it's Tuesday. It's Overreaction Tuesday. Let's talk some Pittsburgh Steelers running backs here. So the name that everybody, and I mean everybody, has been tossing out as the Pittsburgh Steelers #1 draft pick has been Ashton Jeanty. From week 3 of the college football season, we, for a couple of weeks here, ran a running tally of what Ashton Jeanty was doing on Saturdays because people were so gung-ho about the Pittsburgh Steelers landing a guy like Ashton Jeanty in the NFL draft. And where we stood 24, 48, 76 hours ago were, it's not going to happen. He's going to the Dallas Cowboys. He's going to 12. No questions asked. He's not going to make it to the Pittsburgh Steelers. This morning, Bleacher Report says, maybe not, my friend. They have Ashton Jeanty going to the Pittsburgh Steelers at 22nd overall, falling past Dallas and everybody else. He's still the first running back off the board. And their explanation is pretty simple, that there are a lot of positions in this draft that you can draft ahead of a running back because of how deep the running back class is. You don't have to really push it and say, you got to go draft a running back right now because they won't be available next round. No, there'll be a ton of them available next round and the round after that. And because of that, guys like Ashton Jeanty fall to 22nd, where the Pittsburgh Steelers get them. And I will be very honest. I don't know how sold I am, as that is a real possibility for Pittsburgh, but I am totally sold on the, if he's there, you get Ashton Jeanty. You don't think about it. You don't draft somebody else. This is not a Najee Harris 2.0. This is 2,600 yards in one season. And I believe 29, if I'm not mistaken, 29 touchdowns. Yep. 2,600 yards, 26 and 100 yards and 29 touchdowns this past season alone. Should have won the Heisman, and at least there's a strong argument for him to win the Heisman. And to fall to 22nd, there wouldn't be a guy there that has the upside and the immediate impact at the same time as Ashton Jeanty. I'll steer off of that just because you got to be realistic in your conversations here and say that what I have been told is not Ashton Jeanty. It's just unfortunately not. I've been told that the Pittsburgh Steelers are going to focus heavily on both sides of the line because they're not 100% sold that their offensive line is built the way that they would like it to be built. Certainly the defensive side of the line, they are going to focus on very heavily and very early, and the quarterback position. They are not yet sold at what's going on at quarterback. And I was told this last night, yesterday, at multiple points, that this is the train of thought for the Pittsburgh Steelers right now. I don't know if Ashton Jeanty fits that, but I will say that it doesn't matter who else is there. You draft Ashton Jeanty if he's at 22, right?
Yeah, I would 100% have to imagine, even if they're keying in on the offensive and defensive lines, what are you going to do? Draft another offensive tackle for the third year in a row? Like, what are you going to do there? Are you going to draft another center, even though you took one in the second round last year? And we all know center shouldn't be taken in the first round. Defensive line makes a little bit more sense, but this isn't, like you mentioned, this isn't Najee Harris. Najee Harris was a good prospect that could give you some immediate upgrades at the running back position. Ashton Jeanty has the possibility to become a Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, top of the league runner for several years. Najee's been great. Najee's been consistent at just above 1,000. You draft Ashton Jeanty and your offensive line gets a chance to figure it out. I think that is a game changer for a Pittsburgh Steelers team that is trying to live and die on the ground game. So if you get that opportunity, I don't think you can turn it down, especially considering, yes, you could need some help. Yes, you need to plan for the future at defensive line, but pushing it off 1 year to be able to go out there and get a game changer on offense is something that a lot of people in Pittsburgh are going to be clamoring for, especially if he falls all the way down to 22.
Hey, football fans, there's only a few short weeks left in the season, and we've got some exciting wildcard games to look forward to. Get in on the action right now with my partners at DraftKings Sportsbook. They're offering all new customers $200 in bonus bets instantly after betting just $5. Don't let this slip away. Download the DraftKings app now and sign up using our code ALLSteelers. The crown is yours. Stay in the action and use your $200 in bonus bets on DraftKings same-game parlays for a shot at an even bigger payout. Combine multiple bets together from the same game. Love the thrill of betting? DraftKings has got you covered. Bet live on in-progress games right as they happen, making watching the game that much more exciting. If sports betting is not yet available in your state, don't worry. You can still join in on all the fun with DraftKings Daily Fantasy and have the shot to win cash prizes. Download the DraftKings Sportsbook app now. New customers use my promo code ALLSteelers and bet just $5 on any wager and get $200 in bonus bets instantly. That's promo code ALLSteelers only at DraftKings Sportsbook.
All right, so I have two hypotheticals. I'll ask you one individually. First one. Would you draft Ashton Jeanty over Jalen Milroe if they were both there at 22?
Without a shadow of a doubt, yes.
Okay. Second one. I think I would do the same thing. I think that would be more difficult than the second one I'm going to ask you, simply because it's a quarterback and you need it's the most important position on the field, and the Pittsburgh Steelers don't have one. And it's just about time to say, okay, it's time to replace Ben Roethlisberger. It's not time to replace Ben Roethlisberger with Russell Wilson. It's not time to replace Ben Roethlisberger with Kenny Pickett in a draft class that you knew wasn't going to work out. It's time to replace Ben Roethlisberger. And I think Jalen Milroe's got Lamar Jackson-ish upside. You're not going to be a 3-time MVP. At least you can't project that. But I think he's got the skill set to be a Lamar Jackson style player. And I don't think the Steelers would have the easiest time passing on that if they had the opportunity. The second hypothetical here, but I agree with you. I think I'd still go Ashton Jeanty. Ashton Jeanty over any position of need for the Pittsburgh Steelers at 22. If that position, I don't have names, but I'm just going to say that position is available almost like a Troy Fautanu was for the Steelers this past season.
Yeah, if somebody of that caliber that we're talking early in the draft process as a, hey, surefire top 10, maybe 10 to 15, if you're lucky, he might fall to that. But if he's there at 20 or at 20 to 22, which is right now kind of where the Steelers are projected to land, I would have a much harder time. For Milroe, no, I don't quite see it. I understand where you're getting it from. I understand that some people are projecting that he could grow into that, but I'm not willing to take that risk. The one reason I would think about it, if it is a position of need and it is that caliber of player, is because while Jeanty would be great, you do need more than one piece to fix this team right now. And there is a lot of running back options that I could feel confident pairing with Jaylen Warren next year and saying that is going to be a pretty good run game. That is going to be a pretty good fill-in or makeup spot for Najee Harris. We're talking about, I believe its name's Caleb Johnson out of Iowa. Very good. Yeah. We've talked about Cam Skadaboo. I'm not quite on that train, but there are people that are on that train.
You could go Tre'Davion Henderson.
You could go Travion Henderson. You could go, Quinshawn Judkins. You could go the guy out of Oregon. The running back out of Oregon is another guy that I think could be a good value pick in maybe the third or fourth round. So if it ends up being, and again, I haven't dove deeply into NFL draft prospects as of yet, especially on the defensive line. But if it's going to be that type of player that we're talking, hey, he's a top 10 athlete, and for some reason he falls to 22, I think I have a harder time weighing that. It's just a matter of kind of the situation and the player at that point.
I agree. And it comes down to very simply, Ashton Jeanty is a franchise running back if he works out. He's a franchise, no questions asked running back if it works. Franchise running backs last much shorter than franchise guards, franchise defensive tackles, franchise corners, franchise quarterbacks. These guys last so long, and running backs, I mean, sometimes they last a while, sometimes they don't. It's real hit or miss. And I think that you're taking a massive shot. You're taking a risk to sit here and say Ashton Jeanty is the clear, easy selection in that group, because you might not get all you're bargaining for with a guy like Ashton Jeanty 7 years from now, compared to, you could get a guard or a defensive tackle that's just starting to hit their stride in that 7-year mark. And I think that's why you have to look at it in that context. And I agree with you.
I mean, shoot, look at Cam Hayward. Look at what he's doing this year. He's 36 years old. Meanwhile, I'm trying to think of who else was in his class when it comes to running backs. But I mean, look at a guy like Todd Gurley. He was at the top of the game, at the top of the league, and he's been out of the league now for about half a decade.
Exactly. Happens all the time. I mean, Ezekiel Elliott is a prime example of he's 29 years old. TJ's 30. You got TJ at, what'd you get him at? Pick 30? Pick 20, 28, something?
It was 29 or 30. I can't remember.
Yeah, it was right on that number there. And that's what you're getting. That's what you get at 30. That's what you're looking for in the first round, is the guy that's going to be there at 30 and still be potentially the defensive player of the year. That's where they're going with that. I agree with you. I think that just longevity wise, it would make things different. But I mean, depending on who's there, Ashton Jeanty is a fun name to have for the Pittsburgh Steelers.